So my goal was to create a product that could go in and help clean the body and bring equilibrium from the heavy level of virus, bacteria, parasites by cleaning out the inside. My second goal was to get rid of things like heavy metals, because there's been nuclear war, there's been Agent Orange, the 5G, the computers, the phones, all the things that we're using right now, that's not good for your body. And there's no one in the world that could convince me that was good for your body. And I know that parasites during this phase, they become very active, right? And they will grow and cause so many issues. I think that's one of the reasons we have more homicide and suicide during this time, because these creatures, they breed in fungus and they grow throughout our bodies. So I wanted to put something in place so that we could help people during this time, especially really get rid of parasites and fungus and everything else.
Welcome to today's interview. My name is Sören Schumann, and today I'm interviewing Dr. Christina Rahm on the topic of the incredible effects of clean slate. Dr. Christina Rahm is a doctor, author, a scientist, and a formulator of supplements. And in the past, she suffered from various health problems such as cancer or Lyme disease, and her motto is cure the causes. And so, of course, detoxification is a key factor in her work. Christina, before we start the interview, can you tell us something about your career and tell us more about your projects and your activities?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show and with your Congress. I appreciate it. Thank you. I believe things like this Congress are so important because it gets information out there that can help so many people.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So just a little bit about my career. I have spent my life in different areas of science, from psychology to nutrition, even pharmaceutical, biotechnology, nanotechnology, all of the studies in the sciences. And when people ask me why, I tell them it's because if I'm going to try to correct things in life, I have to understand what we've put into our bodies or what's around us in the environment that's impacting us and making us sick. And so one of the things I've studied my entire career is actually I've done a lot around fungus and parasites and bacteria and viruses, because your body, once you're born into this world, your body starts having almost as much bacteria, parasites, fungus, and viruses as human cells, right? It's all over the inside of your body. And the problem is we have so many heavy metals in our environment that make these things grow and kind of almost outgrow us, right? Because that's the problem. It's not that a virus, for example, or fungus are the problem. It's that when it grows and proliferates throughout the body and causes this equilibrium shift where it's basically more influential or stronger than your actual immune system and your actual cells, you're not okay. And same thing with aging, by the way. The aging process, you can live to be 130, 140 years old successfully and be healthy if you can help detox and clean these things out of your body that are causing this basically them to be stronger than your body, right? Because you want to live. You're the host. Like, we're the host of everything, really. If you look at us, we're at the top of the chain of how we live and live this affluent, long life if we can keep this in balance. And so clean slate for me has been really a lifetime journey, because I understood at a very young age in my career how different types of zeolites and clino and orthosilic acids could actually help products work better, could help pharmaceutical products work better, environmental products work better, but also could clean and could change things in the environment, in animals, and in people. So I worked on clean slate to really try to help really bring equilibrium into the body, to get rid of the things that don't need to be in the body, and to really clean it, purge it, detox it. So that's really where my career, I would say my career is here now, but I started a long time ago on this journey, about 25 years ago.
Okay. Sounds amazing. In German, we say the milieu is everything, and the microbe is nothing. So when the milieu, the territory is toxic, like you said, viruses, fungus, and parasites can have much power and can create different symptoms. And it's a very important thing, I think. And yes, can you say something about the story or about the development of Clean Slate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I've worked on a lot of detox products and for a lot of companies, actually. People don't know that because for years I worked in manufacturing and formulating products that would really help, again, clean, detox, and then supplement and support the body. But Clean Slate is my formula, and it comes from me being the inventor of patents years ago and thinking, I don't like these patents. They actually got approved. I had patents that were approved for basically regeneration and reversal of aging with the hair, skin, and nails, and detoxification of things like nuclear waste. But I didn't like those patents. I was as soon as those came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I have some changes I need to make. And that came from years working in a lab. I understood that in my original ones, I did not add the polarization and magnets that I needed to add to really help the formula go into the body and communicate so it would clean it in a more effective way. As a scientist, I wanted a formula that was natural and that while it was cleaning, it was attaching to the positive and negative ions and helping the body really get rid of these things that shouldn't be there, but also at the same time supplementing and protecting and providing the body with things. And that's harder to do because a lot of times when you make a zeolite product or a Clino product, it's helping detox things out or clean things out of the body, but not supporting the body at the same time. So I really went on this pathway of making sure that that one formula, people were using it. I also was giving the body vitamins and trace minerals at the same time. And that's what I did with that formula. I integrated those pieces in. I used different types of magnets. I used huge equipment that polarized it and heated and cooled the formula while I was making it. And again, all of this technology I had learned from years of training. I even went back to school for 3 years at Harvard and studied even more how I could do this. But I wanted to keep things naturally intact and to support the body naturally. I did not want to add a bunch of synthetics. Being very candid with you, I did make a formula that could be delivered through an IV or an injection that could be pharmaceutical or biotechnology, but I really wanted something natural people could use every day. And that's what Clean Slate is. It's a formula that is made in a way so it can support the body, be more bioavailable to the body, more efficacious to the body, and safer. So that whole process took me about 4 days and 20 years to really come up with. Yeah.
Okay, a long journey. So it's wrong to say Clean Slate is like a fluid or liquid zeolite. It's much more than this, like you said.
Yeah, it's a zeolite, but I took instead of, so you start with the orthosilic, which is zeolite, which is a form of an orthosilic acid, and then I pulled out really the silica dioxide in a natural way, so it could also be a healing property instead of just a detox property. So it's almost like you started with one thing. It's kind of like saying you start with a orange and you have orange juice, right? Only in this format, what I did in the formula is make it so it's bioavailable. When you have a powdered zeolite or a powdered Clino product, I would argue it's just detoxing. And one of the reasons that the German culture has a problem with the word detox is if you just detox something and you're not protecting and providing at the same time for the body, you can hurt the body. So you have to be really careful how you're doing that. And I wanted a formula that wasn't just a detox formula. I wanted a formula that was a product that was helping clean the body and detox, but at the same time, really supplementing through a process so that it wouldn't be termed detox. It would be termed, I always say this, I call it ZODed. And ZODed is detox backwards, because I believe that detox has been done in numerous ways how it shouldn't be done. And so I've tried to really reverse that by really providing for the body at the same time.
Okay. Let's talk about aluminum. Some people say that aluminum in zeolite is dangerous, and some people say no, it isn't dangerous because it is very strong, like aluminum silicate. But how is aluminum in clean slate? Is aluminum in there, or is it not in there?
It's not the aluminum silicate that people are worried about. This is a silicon dioxide, not the aluminum silicate. But aluminum silicate, just so you know, on its own, if it's taken out the right way, it's not like aluminum.
Yes.
People are very confused because they must not have a background in chemistry. And I don't mean that rudely, but this is very different. I understand the confusion because if you look at orthosilic, the orthosilica and the branch, right? Even arsenic and fluoride are in there, but there's a division because of how they're made. They're completely different. They're just in the same category. So no, the aluminum silicate that's being taken out, we're actually getting rid of any of the toxins. So anytime I do a formula, everyone worries about detoxing the body. I detox my formulas. So when I work on my formulas, I clean them from the heavy metals. Yes. While I'm making the formula, I report back to show what is in the formula, right? To make sure, because yes. I have to make sure that whatever we're giving people doesn't have different toxins in it. And even with vitamins and minerals, I know this sounds crazy, but they have heavy metals in them, like even your basic vitamins. So you have to make sure you're sourcing those and you're looking at that. So no, this is not a concern with this product. We have the lab reports. I think we have them on the website. If not, we can get them to people of what happens after I do the formula. But yes. No, this is not a concern with the formula. In fact, it's the opposite. It's something that I'm concerned about. So I always test for when I do the products.
Yes, so Clean Slate has no aluminum, but maybe some other liquid zeolites do have some aluminum. Is it possible?
Yeah, it has fragments of it, but they're classified as silica dioxide by the lab. So basically, when you start with if you look at the components of a zeolite, right, it has the aluminum silicate, it has the silicon dioxide or silica, and silicon dioxide and silica can be negative too if they're made the wrong way. But yes. I really pulled out, if you look at the markers, it's like 66 to 67% of the silicon dioxide, which does have zeolite fragments, but they're not the actual zeolite component that's classified as a pharmaceutical. So I made sure that whatever report we needed to give to any country, and of course I can't make sure. So what has to happen is the third-party testing labs have to make sure, because the issue is I don't test my own products. I send them to the manufacturer and to third-party testing so I can make sure. Another reason I do that is there's so many competitors, to be honest, we have that are trying to hurt our country or trying to get us in trouble because they don't want our products coming out, that I have to make sure I test everything. So I test it with the Olympic committees, I test it with third-party testing, I see what's in every batch. And I wanted to make sure that my formula was nothing like any of these other formulas that are out there, because I think it's much different than a liquid zeolite. It's a polarized, solvalized, fractionized product is what I made. And that's what my patents state. And that's what my new patents state as well. Because most of your zeolites that are out there, they're touting them as a liposome formula, but you can't make a true liposome formula naturally. I would say probably these formulas have some kind of nano particles in them because of how I make them. But I'm sure you know this, when you use a pharmaceutical or a nutraceutical, it's impossible to measure how many liposomes or nanomaterials are in it. That's not possible. So people making those claims are actually falsifying the claims because there's no accurate testing. Even though you can capture it in the beginning, you don't capture it at the end. So we try not to make any of those claims. We try to tell people the basic facts of how these products were made and how they help their bodies.
Okay. Let's talk about the most important question. What are the effects of Clean Slate and why it is so important in the current times of vaccinations and things like shedding, like spike proteins, like 5G and so on.
So that's the most important aspect for me too. I have to be really careful. I talk about the other stuff. So this stuff's fun for me. I've been in the biotech pharma industry for over 20 years. I was exposed to every type of thing you can imagine, and the understanding of how to do different things, from cloning to human monoclonal antibodies to vaccines to retroviruses. And I always say this, there's good and bad in the pharmaceutical industry, just like there's good and bad in the nutraceutical industry, and in any kind of political system or any kind of system in the world. Unfortunately, there's bad and there's good. And my goal with the root line, starting with Clean Slate, was to help the body get rid of things that I believed naturally weren't good in the body. For example, maybe someone gets a shot when they're a child because it protects them against a virus, correct? There's different parts of that shot, though, that are called carriers, that are basically heavy metal in contents and aren't that great for the body. So my goal was to create a product that could go in and help clean the body and bring equilibrium from the heavy level of virus, bacteria, parasites, and fungus, and try to bring that down by attaching and cleaning out the inside. My second goal was to get rid of different things like heavy metals, because there's been nuclear war, there's been Agent Orange, there's been all kinds of pollution and all kinds of toxins that have really, seriously been blasted upon us. The 5G, the computers, the phones, all the things that we're using right now, you can ride your bike under these 5G systems and even feel your body electrocute, right? You can feel it. I ride my electric bike and I have to let go of the handlebars because I can feel it when I ride under the towers. That's not good for your body. And there's no one in the world that could convince me that was good for your body. When you look at how our DNA is made, when you look at how we're structured, we're not meant to withstand all of this, right? Because our bodies can handle detoxing out of the liver, detoxing out of the kidneys and the bladder. Like, we are naturally meant to detox. But when you put all these heavy metals into our body through shots or through the environment or through 5G, we don't know how to handle it. So Clean Slate was really made with the mission for me to really help get rid of these things and protect the body. I even made a clothing line that has this integrated into the clothing line to protect the skin. And I have a skincare line that I made to protect the skin, the actual outer layer of your skin, because we're being bombarded with these things right now. And the past 2 to 3 years have made it even worse. And so my goal was to protect people that, you can't protect everyone, but my honest goal was to support and protect people so they could get rid of these things their body doesn't need. Kleno and zeolites were used in Hiroshima and in Chernobyl. The iodine pills simply aren't good enough, right? And so I'm not here to make claims about what that product does, but I am here to tell you that my concern was from traveling to 80 countries, from working in Russia and Ukraine, from working all around Hiroshima and Chernobyl. My concern was the people that have been exposed to these things. My concern were children that had had so many shots that they needed to get this out of their bodies, the heavy metals. My concern was the upcoming 5G. Look, there's 3G, 4G, 5G, it's going to go on and on, right? Our bodies are being exposed to way too many things, and our pineal gland and our cognitive functioning and our ability to perform has been impacted, as well as our overall immune system, which is why you see so many people dying of heart attacks or of brain aneurysms, of cancer, and you have so many people with autism. You've got to do things right now as people to really help the body get rid of these heavy metals. Putting a powder into the body or just a liquid zeolite is not enough, in my opinion. You've got to have the right formulas that continuously help your body really get rid of these things, and then support the body with really great things that help. We're not talking about the other products I've worked on, but I use a lot of black cumin seed. I use a lot of turmeric. I use a lot of spirulina, because those also are known to help with different heavy metals. Those are also known to help with different parasites and fungus. and to help the body get rid of things. And right now, more than ever, we've got to do this with our bodies. And so thank goodness you have a Congress that you're talking about these different items. My goal with Clean Slate was to make it so bioavailable and efficacious that the whole body could use it and not just one part of the body. My other goal was to bring the microbiome back to its natural ability. Whether people are recognizing this or not, there's a lot of GI issues happening as well. So there's a lot of weight gain, but there's also a lot of hair loss. There's a lot of people getting nauseous and sick, but yet they want to eat more and more. It's because of this imbalance in the body. So again, the goal of Clean Slate is to really help bring this balance back so people can thrive, and that so people are not being misguided and doing things that are harmful for their body.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Can you say what toxins Clean Slate can detoxify? For example, you said heavy metals, but what is with pesticides or the toxins of pathogens? How much toxins can it detoxify? Can it detoxify every toxin?
Well, the goal of Clean Slate is to gradually impact and attract, because if you look at how zeolites are made and you look at how Cleano's made, it's like a cage-like structure, right? And there's fragments of that in this particular product. Your goal is to rip apart through a positive and negative charge so that it will leave the body, but in a safe way. And we do that, or this product does this by breaking things apart. So it's not like just taking like aluminum out or taking mercury out or taking lead out. It's attracting it and helping eliminating it by making that no longer a heavy metal, if that makes sense. That's what the beauty is of a zeolite product. Even if it becomes a silicon dioxide, if you can make it in a way where it will help the body really break apart things like mercury, lead, arsenic, fluoride, and so forth, aluminum, then you really, cadmium, there's a lot of different things that attracts. And I can send you a list, you can actually post it, of what we were able to determine in the lab. But we do know that when we did the scan, we were able to see, we can't make claims. We have to be very careful because we're a nutraceutical company, and you know this, we can't make any medical claims. But we did show how in the lab, after I did all of the work on the product, we were able to see how the parasites basically ran out of the cell, how the bacteria and the virus was actually broken apart, and how the heavy metals were broken apart under the microscope. And then we received a report on it. I actually have changed it. As you know, I changed this product 2 years ago so that it would work more effectively. And those reports were even better. But we were able to see that it left intact the different types of minerals that the body needed. But I did add the trace minerals because I still noticed that there were some basic trace minerals that it was pulling out that I did not want it to pull out. Instead, I wanted it to support the body. So I did that by basically putting into the formula the trace minerals that the body needs, so that it would identify it and keep it in and not attach. And then I my mission and my goal was to not attract the things that the body doesn't need, and instead to rip them apart. That's really easy to explain when you talk about human monoclonal antibodies, because you do it through different attachments with the P450 system in the body and the IL-2 and the IL-4. I tried to make the same approaches with this natural products, but I can't make the same claims because it's not a pharmaceutical product. So I have to be really careful how I talk about it.
Yes, I understand. Yes, it sounds very interesting that when you put Clean Slate, then the pathogens, the parasites, the viruses came out of the cell. That's crazy.
We've never
because
seen that before.
I think it's a big thing that parasites are in the cells, and it's not easy to get them out or to, yes. And
when I saw that report, I just have to tell you this. Actually, Clayton had hired a third-party lab to do this. And when I saw it, I was shocked because it's really not typical for that to happen at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you say more about how Clean Slate can distinguish between good and bad substances?
So it basically does it in the same way almost that a antiviral would do it. So let me try to explain this. When you create as a scientist a retrovirus or antiviral to try to get rid of a certain virus, right? You're not trying to get rid of everything in the body. You're trying to attach to certain things so the body is supported. With this particular product, I made it in a way so with the and actually I'm giving myself way too much credit because when you use certain ingredients together in a way that you format I have to be careful. It's not completely water soluble. It's not completely hydrolyzed, but it's partially hydrolyzed and water soluble, the formula that I have. And so, and you could argue that it's completely water soluble. You could argue that it's completely hydrolyzed, but I would argue as a scientist, because I understand hydrolyzation and I understand water soluble, I would argue it's not 100% because of how I made it. But I made it in a way so that it would attract the negative heavy metals in the body and rip them apart and carry them out of the system. Again, this isn't rocket science. I mean, I'll be really honest. Kleno was used again in Hiroshima and Chernobyl, and all they did was put the powder on the ground in those places in order to soak up the heavy metals. What they didn't do is program the powder or do it in any way so that it would help rip apart. Instead, it soaked them up. Do you understand the difference? Am I explaining that right? Like if they used it to get rid of all the nuclear waste in the land, right? In Chernobyl and Hiroshima. They use basically a form of what I'm using. Mine's a pure form. So I used the purest form I could find so that it would attract all these heavy metals that are not good for the environment or people. The problem with Hiroshima and Chernobyl is that when they did that, they did not make that formula in any kind of way so that it would communicate to break it apart. Instead, it soaked it up into the system. Clean Slate was made in a way so that it would go into the body with a catalyst, which is kind of like a propeller. That's how I made it as a scientist, so that it would go in and basically communicate in the body so that it could rip apart these heavy metals. I did not want it to identify any heavy metals that were made for the body. So I put into the formula the trace minerals and vitamins that I wanted to stay intact and also be used in order to communicate with the rest of the body. So your cadmium, your mercury, your lead, your aluminum, the different things in the body, your arsenic, your fluoride, those are naturally taken care of by, even if you used a zeolite or Kleno powder. Right? If you sourced it the right way and you got it from the right source, it would work. But the formula I made with Clean Slate is made to go into the body and be bioavailable in the body, so it works to communicate and do this inside, just like it would do in the environment, only in a more effective way. I don't really know how to explain it anymore because there's a lot of zeolite products out there that are probably saying the same thing. The issue I would say that I see, and I hate to ever talk bad about competitors because I feel like it's the wrong thing to do, but a lot of the formulas that are out there that I know of are very similar to the ones they use in Chernobyl or Hiroshima. They go into the body. The scientists that worked on them are basic chemists. They weren't people that study nanobiotechnology or really understand how to rip things apart or make them more bioavailable, because they don't have a pharmaceutical background or an engineering background that taught them how to do that. So most of your formulas that are out there are actually soaking up these heavy metals or getting rid of them, but to safely make them leave the body in an effective way and help at the same time support the body. I don't know of another formula out there that is doing that. I'd love to see it if there is one, but I think we're the only one that's able to do that in an effective way. Again, I don't know that 100% because I don't know of every product that's out there in the world that stems from a Kleno or a zeolite.
Okay.
Like Pepto-Bismol, I'll give you another example. Kitty litter has Kleno in it. Pepto-Bismol has one of these key ingredients, but none of those formulas did what I did with polarization and magnets, trace minerals and vitamins, and used it in a way so that it would communicate in a bioavailable way with the body.
And I don't know if you are allowed to say this, but I can ask you, is Clean Slate or can Clean Slate go into the cells and go into the brain, and can it detoxify it, or is it not easy to say?
Well, I can't say.
You can't.
If it goes into the brain, then it's considered a pharmaceutical product.
Yes.
But I will say I made this product because I had Lyme's disease, and the spiral sheets lay eggs in the brain.
Yes.
And so for me, I needed a product that could help me. So
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah.
And is it possible that some people can get some side effects like detox symptoms?
yeah. I wish I could say no to this, but I had actually one of my best friends. She thought I said 10 droppers, and I said 10 drops. So she did 10 droppers of Clean Slate and was sick for like 2 days. And so, I always tell people start with 2 little drops in the morning, 2 at night, and then keep working up, because some people that have been exposed to a lot of heavy metals, or their parents were, we know now that 30 to 80% is passed on from a mother to a child. We used to think it was 30, and now we know that it's more. So some of these people that are detoxing are extremely sick. And so what I always say is you want to make sure that you start with small amounts, because you can experience these symptoms. You can experience symptoms where you just don't feel good, where you feel like you're really tired, or you have a headache, right? Which is another reason I say drink lots of water, because when you're detoxing, you really have to have fluids in the body to support the body. Some people have even reported and sent pictures of like metal coming out of their sweat glands. And when they use the bathroom, we've had pictures being sent that show that. I can tell you that we don't get as much of that since I changed the formula, adding the trace minerals, because I wanted to do it in a very safe way, and a very effective way, but I really wanted it to be safer. But the detox symptoms, we do have people, and that's why we ask people to start slow. But I can tell you that most of our doctors, when they're under doctor supervision, when people start having those symptoms, they make them take more instead of less, because they're trying to get them through that whole detox cycle. And it does work. Like the people we have that have gone up to 30, 40, some people even 50 drops because of what they're going through. Once they get up to that, they feel much better after like a week, but it takes some time to get up there.
Okay, thank you. And there are any other things you can recommend when there are detox symptoms, like, for example, sleep more, or like drink more clean water, or something like this?
Yeah, I would try to make sure you get enough sleep for at least 2 weeks. Drink a lot of fluids. I would also tell people that, if you want to eat, if you get nauseous when you're taking it, make sure you eat. You don't have to eat with it, but if you feel nauseous, you should eat with it. Another thing I have to say is we've had a lot of people get pregnant when they start on Clean Slate. So people just need to be really careful about that. We've had a lot of issues with that, actually. So we just, I tell people, your body's adjusting. So we have had people that have had fertility issues and they get pregnant right when they get on Clean Slate, or during the first month. And everyone's like, don't say anything. I'm like, I have to say something because people need to know. But and I also tell people, if I were you, I would use it before you get pregnant, because you want to start detoxing before you actually get pregnant. That's better for you and for the baby. But you can slowly do it while you're pregnant, just not a lot. Yeah.
Yes. And is it okay to take a Clean Slate when the woman is pregnant or when she is breastfeeding?
Yeah, we just tell people not a lot, like a drop or 2 in the morning, a drop or 2 at night, unless they're experiencing things where they feel like they need to. We haven't had any issues with people on Clean Slate. We've only had people report that their babies are doing really great, but I'm always careful when someone's pregnant. Even when I worked in pharmaceutical, we always classified stuff as Class C because we didn't want people taking it while they were pregnant. So I'm always careful. But that being said, again, we have very healthy babies. We have mothers that are breastfeeding. We have people, I just tell people though, if you're going to start while you're pregnant, don't start with 10 drops in the morning, 10 at night. Be very careful. You don't need to like go through this huge detox while you're pregnant because the baby's going through whatever you're going through. So you have to be really careful.
Okay. Would you say that Clean Slate is for everybody on the whole planet? Can be a big advantage, or are there some people who don't need it?
I wish everyone could have Clean Slate. If I had unlimited money, I would make sure everyone had Clean Slate. It's the one product I feel like that could help people the most right now with all the things they're going through and with the current situations that we're going through. So no, I think it's from a young age to a very old age. We've helped people. I can't make claims around what's happened, but we've had so many people with case studies with so many diseases and so many autoimmune disorders and illnesses that we've been able to help. And I think that's because it helps support the body to go back to its natural state where it really can fight off different things. You know, we weren't meant to have autoimmune disorders like we have. We weren't meant to have all these issues. It's the current state of our environment and our body. So once you start cleaning that out, you definitely feel a lot better. You can think a lot better. Perform a lot better, everything. Yeah.
Okay. And would you recommend to take it permanent, like the whole time? Because our world is so toxic.
I take it every day, and it's very important to me to take every day because I've had so many types of cancer, and Lyme's disease for me is the most important thing, not to forget taking Clean Slate. I can't make that decision for everyone, but it's like saying, do you need vitamin C? Only I think more important, you know, is this product that really helps the body. So for me, everyone should be taking it if they have the ability to have access. And the more you're exposed to heavy metals, the more you've had to be around 5G, or the more you've had to have shots or different things from the environment, then it's even more important.
Yes. And maybe about the fact that some pathogens are grown in the laboratory and that is, I think it's a crazy thing. And so we have to detoxify and to save or to strong our immune system. And I think it's very important for the next decades to detoxify every day.
It's very, very important. It's important for our lives and for our children's and our children's lives because it's gotten worse and worse. So we have to do something about it. It's like there's all these things happening. This is a solution that can really help people throughout the world. So I'm very thankful for people like you and Mark and Roland that are helping spread that message.
Okay, can you say something about the size of the particles? Is it nano size, and is it so that the smaller the particles, the better they are, or what should we know about the particle size?
Yeah. I use different types of nanotechnology in the making of the product, but when you have a nutraceutical in the United States, you're not supposed to say it's a nano-size product. I can't say that it's made with nano mesh materials, which are nanoparticles, and I can say the micro size is very small, but it fluctuates. So one of the things, and yes, that's what the importance is. So remember when I was telling you that if you just put powder into something, it will soak it up, but it doesn't rip it apart and get rid of it. The smaller the size, the more it's able to really get into different areas of the body that you want to get into. Like, let's say you want to get into the brain or into the cells, then you have to make smaller particles. So let's just say I made the smallest particles possible that I could launch in a nutraceutical. That is the best way I'd like to say it. So, and I mean, I really don't know, and I mean this, I don't know of another person in this space that has, you know, gone to study nanobiotechnology for years like I have and understands that development phase. So I will just say, I believe we have the smallest on the market.
Okay. And You say the particle size is you've chosen the particle size so that it isn't
It fluctuates.
harmless.
Yeah, so it's harmless, but I did it in a way so it's not exactly, it's a range. I didn't do it in one size. And the reason I did that is because to impact different things from the organs in the bodies
Yes.
to the cells, to the blood, there's different particle sizes. So
Yes.
this is manufactured in a way to have a range size, so it wasn't just one size. And that's part of the intellectual property of how I made the product. I didn't want something that was just one size fits all. I wanted it to be a range of particle sizes within the same formula.
Yes, okay. Can you give us some more details about how the bound toxins are leaving the body, the
Yeah.
process of this?
Yeah. So with the identification, if you look at how the structure is made, basically, if you look at the chemical components, it's in a cage-like structure that helps rip things apart by attaching to positive and negative ions. Through that process, it's able to really take the things that the body doesn't need that are basically, how do I say this? I know this sounds so crazy, but like extraterrestrial particles in there that shouldn't be in there, right? They're like aliens to the body. It's identifying those and helping rip those apart to go out of the body. It's excreted through the urine and the sweat in the body and tears and different things that leave the body, right? Because of the size of the particles that are ripped apart. So it's naturally being eliminated out of the body through natural processes, which that's how a lot of your pharmaceutical products are leave the body as well. If you don't make it in the right size and you're not able to rip things apart, they won't leave the body naturally. And I say it like this, it's like if you're taking a bed out of a room and there's a door, you have to take the bed apart first before you can take it out of the door, right? So we're ripping it apart before it goes out so it doesn't tear open the door frame. So this is being ripped apart into small sizes. So when it leaves, it's not tearing or fracturing or hurting your body. You don't want it to hurt your urethra or your bladder or your kidneys or your organ or sweat gland. So you have to do it in a way so it's safely eliminated. Part of the process in that too is by taking the silica out as one of the main ingredients. Anything that the body is needed, my goal was to help it go into the body through a silica so that it would help heal. I can't make claims that we're healing because it's a nutraceutical, but we're helping the body heal through the formula.
Okay. And okay, so
I'm so sorry I have to be careful, but the more we've grown, the more I have to be careful with what I say.
yes, I understand it for 100%. It's crazy, but you can't say.
Yeah, Germany's our worst.
Yes.
And my grandfather's from Germany, so I'm not
saying
anything bad, but they're the hardest ones that we have to watch what we say.
Yes, it's a big thing here. It's crazy. You can't say if something is really good, but if something is bad and makes a lot of problems, you can say that it's good. It's a bit like crazy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm living in a movie right now. Yep. So
okay. Can you say something about the advantages of Clean Slate compared to other detoxification agents like, for example, chlorella, spirulina, or like chelators like DMPS? It is very some detoxification doctors in Germany say that DMPS is their favorite detox agent. Can you say something about the advantages of Clean Slate compared to these things?
Yeah, I use a lot of those, by the way, in the formulas at Root. So you probably see my formulas and I use those as well, but Clean Slate is much stronger because of how it was made. It's if you use all of those products or ingredients, you just reference, those are really good at like communicating in the body, so the body is able to fight different things that are caused from heavy metals, right? So it helps the body really support more than it helps rip apart and clean out, even though chlorella and spirulina are known to do that, not in the same format. They aren't communicating and identifying these toxic heavy metals and safely eliminating them. They're basically causing the body to self-rid of them, but they're not ripping them apart in a way where it's safely being eliminated effectively through the body in a more, I guess I should say, dramatic way. So for example, not that this would ever happen, but if I were ever exposed to nuclear waste, you know, if there was ever something that happened, the first thing I would reach for is clean slate. If you said to me, why wouldn't you reach for spirulina and chlorella? I would say it's good at some things, but not at all of these, like the product that I've made in clean slate. It will help the body gradually get rid of things, but not in a way where it's eliminating them quickly throughout the body. And my fear was that something would happen in our world where we would need to get things outside of our body very quickly and effectively. Another thing is when I started working on this new formula, I had been to Nigeria and had like 14 or 16 or something like that shots because I had lost my yellow card and they wouldn't let me go unless I had all these shots. And this was before all this pandemic happened. Anyway, I knew that getting those shots were not good for me. I knew I had no option because I had to go over there to work. So I wanted a formula that could help me safely get rid of things like that out of my body as well. If you said to me, why not take spirulina and chlorella, I would say because it will help get rid of some of it, but not all of it. So to safely eliminate these things out of your body, I feel like spirulina and chlorella are protective in a way, if that makes sense, but not killing all this to get out of the system. So this 5G, for example, if you said, why don't you just wear an outfit that has spirulina in it? I would say that's not strong enough to combat the 5G. And because you have to deal, it's kind of like if you're going to war, you've got to have, and someone has a gun, you need a vest. If they shoot you in the chest, that the vest repels that bullet. Clean slate is something like that. It's not that it's not one or two things. It's a system. It really is a bottle that can help when you take it, get rid of those things in your body. And so I don't feel like any of the other things you referenced are nearly as good as the clean slate formula. I don't think they compare. And that's my honest opinion.
Okay. So could one say that clean slate has a wide spectrum of effects and penetrates into areas that are difficult to reach for other substances?
I love that. I want to take that. That's exactly what I would say. Because here's the thing: like when I worked on antibiotics, for example, Zithromax is targeted right for bronchitis or for pneumonia. But there's what we call big gun antibiotics, so that if there's an emergency, you take this big gun that's going to kill everything that you're sick with. You get it in IV in the hospital. Clean slate's the big gun. It really protects the body. Spirulina, chlorella, there's lots of chelation, a lot of different things will do certain areas, but clean slate's the heavy. It's the real big one.
Okay. To sum it up, the whole interview, clean slate is the big gun. Okay. So you have some other formulas. You created some other formulas, for example, Restore and some other things. Which of them you are most recommend for the people who want to detox and to want to stay or to get healthy?
So Relive Greens is the one that I really think people, if they need to detox. Relive Greens and Give Me Back My Youth are extremely good for people that have pain or have problems with their autoimmune disorders or have things that have to do with aging. However, Restore is another one that's extremely good for those things. So I use Restore every day, and I make a shake with Relive Greens and with Give Me Back My Youth. The reason for that is, this is very interesting. When you do a silica and you're detoxing, and you're using a zeolite or a silica or Clino, and you really want to make the body really look younger and really produce collagen and colostrum, then you add collagen and colostrum. And so we have Give Me Back My Youth that I made in a way so that it really is bioavailable and helps with that detox process and the healing. And then Relive Greens has the spirulina, the chlorella, the chlorophyll, all the stuff in it that we were talking about, that really help with the microbiome. It's more targeted towards the stomach and the heart for Relive Greens, but it's also targeted towards the brain. So it's what I took every day, basically when I had the brain tumor, was a formula like Relive Greens. And then Restore has such high concentrations of turmeric, curcumin, and black cumin seed and resveratrol and aloe vera, a lot of ingredients that really help bring back the microbiome. Because when you're detoxing, you're getting rid of these things, and then you want to give your body every single thing that it needs to support it. So those are the products that I would recommend. I do have patent pendings around all those formulas too. And by the way, I detox, and when I source them, I look at the DNA to make sure that the plants weren't exposed to GMOs and the parents of the plants weren't exposed to GMOs.
Oh, that's really nice. And it's important to say that some detox things like chlorella or spirulina can easily get toxic because they bound the toxin of the environment. So it's very important to get some clean stuff.
You have to be really careful with it, actually. Same way with the animals. When I did the collagen and colostrum, we put a program in place so that the cows aren't exposed to wheat or GMOs, and there's no they're cruelty free. We are the only collagen and colostrum that's cruelty free.
Yes.
And we're looking at that. So anyway, I'm excited about that. That's been able to help a lot of people as well.
Okay. In the beginning of the interview, you talked about parasites, and you created a full moon parasite cleanse with some of your products, and I love it because I know that parasites are a big thing for the most people, and it's very interesting that you you recommend to do this on the full moon time. Can you say more about this?
Yeah, so I was raised Cherokee and Choctaw Indian on one side, and then on the other side, they were from Lebanon, the Middle East, and then went over to Germany and then the United States. So I was exposed to a lot of shaman and spiritualists that talked about the full moon. And as farmers, I know we have a call. Sorry. As farmers, we were exposed to what was happening with the moon and everything. And I know that parasites during this phase, they become very active, right? And they will grow and cause so many issues. I think that's one of the reasons we have more homicide and suicide during this time, because these creatures, they breed in fungus and they grow throughout our bodies. So I wanted to put something in place so that we could help people during this time, especially really get rid of parasites and fungus and everything else. Okay.
It's nice to hear. And then another question about the things Clean Slate can detoxify. Can it detoxify things like microplastic? I don't know if it's the right word, or like things like bisphenol A. I don't know if it's the right. But do you know what I mean?
No.
No, okay. I don't know the English word, but my I have to.
I know plastics, and
yes, plastic, and in a very small size.
Very
like
small size,
all the fish, the fish in the oceans have lots.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was one of my goals. I actually did a formula also for the air, land, and water to do that because of what's happening with the plastic. We actually have plastic in our bloodstream and stuff like that. So it's a major, issue that no one talks about because it's too biphenyl. Yeah, it's too complicated. But yes, that is one of the things that Clino can target if it's made in the right way. We need to do further testing, but I believe this product does that. We have to do additional testing on it. But it was made in a way where that was one of my targets because I think it's very important.
Okay, nice, thank you. A different question. If you were the Minister of Health, what would be the 3 things you would recommend to the public?
If I was the Minister of Health, I would definitely push out that nutraceutically what they needed to do to protect their bodies during this time and during the next 3 to 5 years would be to really detoxify their body, clean their body, and supplement their body, because we will need to reach herd immunity on many different levels and to survive. So it's the time of the survivalist. So I would say we need to meet herd immunity by detoxification and support of our immune system. We need to, number 2, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically support our bodies again through each other and natural sources. And then number 3, I would say you only use pharmaceuticals as a last resort when it has to be used, because if we overuse things, we're never going to protect our society. That's what I would do.
Okay, great. Thank you. And my last question is, yes, what are your plans for the future? What is your mission with your company, and yes, what we can expect in the future?
So my mission with this company is to bring health and wellness throughout the world and through the ambassadors, because this company has been grown by ambassadors and not me. I made the formulas, and the people have really been, and I mean this, ambassadors of health throughout the world. And we are now going into an age of bringing these products into the environment for the land, air, and water, and into animals, and even furthering our mission. We will be going into clothing lines and skincare and makeup to make sure we're bringing positive affirmation and changes to the world. In February of next year, we will be partnering with Burberry and with some of the animal brands throughout the world to really bring this into the fashion industry as well as the animal industry. And the reason for that is not actually just animals or fashion. The reason is so that we can touch as many people as possible and make a positive impact on health and wellness.
Okay, thank you. That sounds great. And thank you for the interview, and for your for the lot of knowledge you dropped into the interview, and I'm very grateful to for this, and yes, I'm looking forward for your next products. I heard that there are some in the pipeline, and
Yes.
I would love to try them.
Thank you. We'll have to get your address. I can always send you some, but yes, we have the skincare line and the coffee coming out. And now in February, we haven't even announced this to the Root community. We have the animal line coming out in February, and the clothing line we start in February.
Okay, thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
And see you next time, maybe.
See you guys next time. Thank you so very much.
Okay.